Hey guys, what's up? It's Crimson here with another tutorial. ah, Anyways, this one is dedicated to Stride, or Spade, or Reaper, or whoever you know him by, because he changes his names quite frequently. Actually, too frequently. But he keeps bugging me about making a tutorial on Gecko registers. He's not the only one, but I just like to pick on him. So, yeah, this will be on Gecko registers. Um, yeah, before we get started, of course, I need to explain code types every single time, and I'm sorry if you get annoyed by the way I present my videos, but I just feel the need to make it understandable. So, the main concept in Gecko registers that you need to understand to be able to use them is that there are no values. Just let that sink in for a minute. There are no values at all. It might be misleading what I'm trying to say, because you might be thinking, oh, Crimson, how can there be a code if there's not two 32-bit writes? Well, there are two 32-bit writes, I guess you could call them, but they're not a value. There are no values. You don't write a value. You don't touch the value. The value touches itself. Maybe that sounded not what I meant it to sound like. But the value, you don't worry about the value. Hopefully my music isn't playing. I shall pause that. If so, it's a good song. But there are no values. No values. None. Nope. Nada. No. Just no. So, with that in mind, let's begin. So, as you can see, we're going to start off by setting a Gecko register. Usually this is what you do, unless you load into a Gecko register or set a Gecko register to, or use some other funky method of loading or setting a Gecko register. But this is personally my favorite. So as we can see in the code type document, it says 80 SY000N. So, when there is an S and a Y, or I guess not an S and Y, whenever there's a variable, you should know that there's options for that code. So, let's read our options. The first option is 8000 equals Gecko register N equals XXXXXXXXXXX, whatever. What it means by Gecko register N, and this is what I didn't understand when I first started. Gecko registers aren't, well, I won't even bring that part up. There is no Gecko register N. N is just a variable signifying the number of the Gecko register that you're writing to. So Gecko register N could mean Gecko register 0, Gecko register 1, Gecko register whatever to 15. There are 15 Gecko registers, 0 through F, but F is not usable in all of the options of Gecko registers, so I'd recommend not using F if you can avoid it. Just, it's convenient. So we could use that option, but we could also use the next option, which is 801, and Gecko register N equals XXXXXXX plus base address. We can use either of these. If you use the base address one, the plus base address, just remember that by default the base address is set to the 80 range. However, for learning sakes, we're just going to use the first one because it's simple, and I'll go over the other one in different tutorials. But yeah, so 80, and it says 8000, so we're just going to put 2 more zeros and then 3 more zeros because it has 3 zeros naturally. And then we run into the N. The N can be anything from 0 to F, as I said. I will just use 0, because usually I do use 0 unless I'm setting multiple Gecko registers. Then I'll obviously use more than just 0. But, yeah, Whatever Gecko register you use doesn't matter as long as you are not reusing the Gecko register. If you use Gecko register 0 in the code, you can't reuse Gecko register 0 in the same code. It just won't work out very well for you. So Gecko register 0 equals xxxxx. So we're going to make a code that changes your running speed depending on your look coordinates. Maybe I should have said that first, but whatever. So our first address is our look coordinates. So we're going to load that into the Gecko register, ADB881AC4. And then that is that. No values. See what I mean? This is an address, not a value. Address, no values, none. Sorry if it seems like I'm just being repetitive, but I didn't understand that there's no values. People that I've tried explaining it to have had difficulty grasping that concept. You know, even real coders like Master Q, he had a hard time. Well, he didn't have a hard time. It just took him a minute or two to figure out that there are no values. So then we're going to come down to memory copy. What memory copy does is it copies, obviously, the values from an address to another address. So we have nothing to do with the values. We're just copying them. We don't have to write the values down anywhere in our code. It's like a tunnel. Like the Gecko register is on one side of the tunnel, and the destination address is on the other side of the tunnel, and the memory copy is in the middle. We don't even have to see the value. So our first option says copy y bytes from Gecko register n to Gecko register k plus xxxxx. Gecko register k can't be f, and that's because f is used in the next code type. However, hopefully you understand your bits and bytes by now. If not, let me know and I'll make a video dedicated solely to that. Hopefully you do though, and I'll assume that you do. Another thing, for future reference, if you use Gecko register k, k is another variable. There is no Gecko register k. Gecko register k could be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. The reason they say Gecko register k is because they're already using Gecko register n, and Gecko register n cannot be Gecko register k. So we can have Gecko register n equals R0, and if we set another Gecko register, we can pretend that that one is Gecko register k. But hopefully that made sense. I will go over more of that in later tutorials. I plan on making multiple Gecko register tutorials because they're quite fun for me, and they're useful. So the next option is copy y bytes from Gecko register n to base address plus xxxxx. We can use either of these options to the code type. However, I'm going to use the second one just because it's simple and it makes sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to you guys. It's just simple and shortens the code. The code's just convenient to look at. As I said, I'll go over different options for the code types in later tutorials. However, we're just going to use the second option for now. So we're going to put 8a, not 89, 8a, and bytes. What it means by bytes is how many addresses of values to copy. So in this case, we just want the value from one address. So we're going to put 4, because 4 is 32 bits. No, it isn't. 8 is 32 bits, isn't it? Shoot, I had a brain fart. No. It's 4. 4 bytes, 32-bit address. We're good. So we're going to put 4 because we only want the value from one address, and one address is 4 bytes. And then it says NF. N is the Gecko register that we're getting the information from. We're getting the information from Gecko register 0 in this code. Because we set Gecko register 0. I don't know how to explain this without it being confusing later on in life, so you'll just have to wait for my multiple Gecko register tutorial. So we're going to put 0 because 0 is where we're getting our information from. F, we're going to put F because the option before it says Gecko register K can't be F. Uh, in this code type option thing, the subcode type, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. In this subcode type, we don't have to deal with Gecko register K, so we put F to tell the code handler that there is no Gecko register K. We're writing to a base address plus XXXXX. Also, be careful when you're doing this because it says copy bytes from Gecko register N to base address plus XXXXX. I've had difficulty with that. I've frozen a few times because of it. However, it's nothing to like super worry about. All you need to remember is that the base address is already set by 80, 280 by default. So we're going to put 00, that way it doesn't add our 80 to the 80 that's already there and write into some random memory in the game that doesn't like belong there. So we're going to put our second address 008A4D80, and this is our running speed. So what we're telling the code to do is we're going to set our look coordinates into Gecko register 0, then we're going to copy our look coordinate value to our run speed value. That way we run the speed of our look coordinates. I honestly don't know where I got this code idea from, but I just thought it'd be convenient because it's a copy. No one has made it that I know of. But yeah, this is also DMA'd, so good luck making it if you try to remake it. You can't use my addresses. However, I'll fix it up and I'll put it in the description later tonight or tomorrow or something if I don't play PlayStation with my dad. But as you cannot see, it works. Oh, that reminds me, I'm gonna get a capture card soon. Hopefully, possibly. Um, but yeah, that's that. As I always say, if you need anything, hit me up. No problem. I'll help you straighten stuff out. I'm glad to help. That's why I keep making all of these. Not many people watch them, but I feel the need to share my knowledge because if I had someone who would do that with me, uh, I'd be in a much, I don't know, I wouldn't have been as stressed when I started. So, that's that. I feel like I've been talking really fast, so if I have, I'm sorry. Hopefully you understood it. Um, I'll be making multiple Gecko register tutorials, as I said. I'll also be working on making HTML files that for each code type as well and upload them to a website. That way there's a website just for tutorials, no comments, no posts by stupid people, just the tutorials themselves. I don't know when that will be up because making HTML files gets boring after a while. And you grow to dislike it after a while. However, if it helps people, I'm willing to do that. So that's that. If you have questions, hit me up on my website. If you have suggestions, requests, whatever, hit me up. I'll be glad to help and listen. And that's that. See ya.